Radio Wammo Breakfast.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Game junkie, Gerard Campbell.
The great and powerful king of Albion is dead. To one son, he leaves the crown.
This is my Albion. Its people will do as I say, or they will die.
To the other son, he leaves a life of adventure.
Flawless! Who could resist you?
One brother's tyranny leads to starvation and misery.
Albion needs nothing less than a revolution.
While from the other brother's choices, the quest to save Albion begins.
It could only be another game in the Fable series this time round. Of course, it's Fable 3, following on from 2 and 1, which makes a whole lot of sense, doesn't it? Gerard Campbell has been playing this one for us so that we may or may not have to. Gerard at stuff.co.nz, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Wammo.
Good morning. Now, I haven't had a bash at this one. I did play Fable 2, ran around for hours, if not days, and then got bored. What do you make of Fable 3?
Best a few things, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think that, first off to say that Fable 3's improved on a lot of those niggles, from Fable 2, a lot of those frustrations that were in Fable 2. I think probably the biggest sort of change is the menu system now. It's gone whole raft of lists and whatever. Whenever you access the game's menu system, you go to something called the Sanctuary, which is like a 3D environment where you go into rooms to see which outfits you've got. You go into a dressing room where you've got weapons. There's a map in the middle of the room where your butler Jasper sort of controls, and you can access the game world via that map. So that's streamlined, which is really good. That's something that is really great. And there's also another thing called the Road to Rule.
Yeah.
And what that is every time that you've killed a certain number of enemies or you've made followers, because a big thing for this game is followers. You've got part of the story is that you've got to overthrow your tyrannical brother king. So to do that, you've got to get a lot of followers. So you do that by doing quests for people and all that sort of thing. And then every time that you've got these things called guild seals, you go to the Road of Rule, and there's a whole lot of chests, set along the road. And you can, when you've got enough seals, you can open those, and they'll update things. They'll upgrade your melee combat, they'll upgrade your magic, they'll upgrade your ranged weapons, so that's pistols and rifles and that sort of thing. But you can also pick up things like, more expressions. You can still fart on people, and you can tickle them, and you can dance with them and that sort of thing. So that's quite cool. That's quite a cool thing to do. And it's refreshing. It's a refreshing change. Challenge wise, I finished a single player campaign. I think I started it on Thursday. Finished it sort of yesterday. Sort of playing off and on.
Wow.
But of course, what I found that I did wrong probably was that I've still got a lot of the side missions that I haven't completed. Sort of fairly much stuck to that straight and narrow, follow the tasks. To finish the game. So there's a lot of side quests that I haven't finished.
How long to zoom through like you did?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't got an hour figure. I'd probably say sort of, following straight through.
Yeah.
8 hours.
Oh, okay.
Probably. I'm only guessing, of course, because I haven't sort of timed it. But that's if you follow. As I said, I sort of did a few of the side missions at this stage, but pretty much followed straight from go to here, go to there, go to there, go to there. Do that. Probably something that you might not like, Wammo, is that the combat is still fairly sort of, it's still that one button combat system.
Yeah.
X to strike your sword or your hammer, and Y for your ranged weapons, and B for your magic, and also that breadcrumb trail. That sort of glittering, glowing path is still there, so that does make things a lot easier. So so if it says go and see Mr. Whatnot, that glowing path is still there, so you exactly know which way to go.
And something that I found tedious in a previous game was just travelling to a task. You could skip there quickly, but you'd still have the loading screen in order to get there. It just seemed like a lot of time just to move around the world.
Yeah, well, see, that has changed too now. There's still a fast travel option, but you can I think every time I think it's your start button. Every time you press your start button, you'll go to your sanctuary, and then you can go to your map, and you see a map of the whole world. So you'll see Bowerstone and all parts of Albion and Millfields and all these sorts of cities and locations. And there's a big magnifying glass which hovers over each one, and then you'll see big exclamation marks, and you'll see those in the game world too. Big exclamation marks which signify that there's a quest there.
Yeah.
You can click on that, and then it'll ask you, do you want to get transported to the nearest location. So
okay.
That's a lot more streamlined, which I think is really good.
Yeah.
It's a lot more streamlined. I can't say I found it overly challenging. I think maybe though that's perhaps Lionhead who made the game want to sort of make it more accessible to more casual gamers, probably.
Is it a game that you could dive into having not played any of the previous ones? I mean, would you get the storyline? Does it?
Yeah, you will, because it fills in, the very beginning of the game, it fills in what's happened, and there's lots of backstory which comes in, because this Fable 3 sort of takes place about 50 to 60 years after Fable 2.
Right.
And, Fable 2 you could play as a girl, and in this one you can play as a male or a female princess. And on the advice of someone from Lionhead, I actually played this first time through as a female. No sort of gender issues for me at all on that one. But
yeah. Why did you get that advice?
Well, because when I spoke to Louise Murray recently from Lionhead, she said that she felt that playing as the princess was actually a better story. She felt that the dialogue was a lot more emotive and just the way that it was delivered. So yeah, it was. I mean, the voice acting's really well done. I mean, you've got great stars like John Cleese, as Jasper the butler. You've got Bernard Hill. You've got Ben Kingsley. You've got Jonathan Ross. You've got Simon Pegg. So you've got a lot of big name actors, British actors, who are doing voice work for it. But a lot of it's exploration. You've got to go to this point. Collect this or find out what's happening here and help this person and help that person. And there's a lot of that. I can say there's fairly tight restrictions on what Microsoft would like you to say about it, but certainly the first half and the second half are very different games in terms of the second one has a lot more decision making which will affect the whole of Albion, whereas the first half of the game, any sort of things that you do, the sort of consequences are on you. You're alone. In the second half of the game, there's a lot of consequences that you've got to make which will impact on the entire land of Albion. And
the thing that everyone wants to know, Gerard, is did you manage to keep your character slim and trim?
Well, slim and trim, yeah. Actually, I didn't actually eat a heck of a lot while I was traversing the world of Albion. Had a few pieces of celery, the odd apple, but apparently, although I thought she looked pretty slim, apparently, according to some of the stats, that she was a bit fat. So I was a bit concerned about that. But I certainly laid off the meat pies. There was plenty of meat pies on offer.
Yeah, I think that was one of the reasons. This is so ridiculous. One of the reasons why I spent hours playing Fable 2 was I realised my character was fat. He needed to lose weight, so I spent a lot of time eating carrots and celery to no effect.
Yeah, well, carrots and celery probably is good for your figure, but it doesn't give you a lot of energy when you've got to face Belverines or Hobbs, those silly little Hobbs. I mean, and something too is that, like the physical, I didn't actually see you getting too fat. It was probably all that running around, but, on the road to Rule, when you upgrade your pistol, you'll see there's big flash effects, and you'll see that, the next time that you've got your pistol on your back, that it's got more adorned with, fancier sort of, ivory, or it's got a lot bigger, or your hammer's got a lot bigger, or your sword's got a lot bigger. So there are, instances that, you do see sort of physical change. Whether it's got all the things in it that Peter Molyneux promised that it would have, I still haven't found. I think there's perhaps one or two things that they said will be there that probably haven't turned up in there. But it's entertaining. It's certainly much improvement of Fable 2. But
cool.
Yeah, I think fans of Fable 2 will enjoy it.
All right, Fable 3. It is out only on the Xbox, isn't that right?
Yes, yeah. I believe that it may be coming to PC at some stage, but maybe early next year sometime, but nobody's really sure.
Okay. Thanks very much, Gerard Campbell.
Not a problem. Thanks very much.
Check him out at stuff.co.nz. Also on Twitter, Game Junkie.